Morning, Rifa. So I just wanted to go over yesterday and then today's work with you because there's a little confusion. You're actually doing too much work. So I want us to break it down and tell you what my expectations are. So all we have to do, so this is looking at 422's work, yesterday's work, is review the notes, follow the steps, and you're just going to name if a map is a function or not a function. That's it. What you're actually doing is you're rewriting the domain and range, which I really appreciate, and I'm glad you're recognizing what side is what side. However, you're actually doing way too much work. I just want you to write function or not a function. So looking at number 1, I only look at the domain input or x, so whatever's on the left-hand side, and I just make sure each one of these has only one arrow coming out of it. So I have A has one arrow, B has 1 hour, C has 1 hour, and D has 1 hour. So if each one has only one arrow, then I write that it's a function. That's it. That's all you have to do. So now I want to look at number 2. Thinking about the same rule, each one has only one arrow. X, Y, U, V, and L all have 1 arrows. So that means this one is also a function. So I just write function. 3, however, is a little bit different. So looking at the input, it's just the number 3. And the number 3 has 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows going into it. One's going to the 0, one's going to the 2, one's going to the 4, and one's going to the 6. So for this one, we would say not a function. And our directions tell us to say why. So in this case, I would say that the 3 has 4 arrows. And that would be a reasonable explanation as to why this is not a function. Looking at A, again, a little bit tricky. So I have 1, 2, 3. Looking at the 3, there's only 1 arrow. Looking at the 2, there's only 1 arrow. But however, the 1 has 2 arrows. So even though the 2 and the 3 only have 1 arrow, because the 1 has 2, this is not a function. So I'm going to write not a function. Whoops, I'm going to lowercase my o, not a function. And I have to say why, and I'm going to say because the 1 has 2 arrows. And I'm going to spell everything correctly, so let's fix my spelling here. And that will be it. So that was yesterday's work. So today you have a video going over today's work. So I'm not going to do 1 and 2 with you, because you're going to be able to see that in the other video that the class is going to look at. I am going to do 3 and 4 with you, however. So again, just looking at it and recognizing that all we're doing is reading that domain, the input, or the X side. You can actually really ignore the range output Y side. So that means we're only looking at the left. So this one, we have 1, 3, and 4. 2 has no arrows, but that's okay. So you just cannot exceed 1 arrow. So you can't have more than 1 arrow. The fact is 0 doesn't do anything. So because the 1 has 1 arrow, the 3 has 1 arrow, and the 4 has 1 arrow, this is a function. Looking at number 4, we have the 2 has 2 arrows. So I actually don't even have to look at the 4 and 3 on the input side because I know this is not a function. Why is it not a function? Because the 2 has 2 arrows. Because the input can only have 1 output, and this input of 2 has the 20 and the 40. So therefore, it cannot be a function. Let's also look at number 5 together. So 5 is actually really similar to 3 in the fact that there's one that has no arrows at all. And that, again, that is 100% okay. They just cannot exceed 1. So this input has A, B, and D, and they each have only 1 output. D has Y, A has X, and B has Z. So this is in fact a function. And we're going to look at 6 now. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's check. 1 arrow, 2 arrow, 3 arrow, 4 arrow, which means 1 input, 1 input, 1 input, and 1 input, 1 output, 1 input, 1 output, 1 input, 1 output, and 1 input, 1 output. So this in fact is a function. Where there is some confusion, it was we see that 3 and 4 share A, but that is okay because each one has only 1 output. It just happens to be the same output, which is totally fine in functions. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to email me again. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I hope you're really successful in today's lesson.